On a beautiful March day, we take a few minutes to update the mayor of New Hope, Kathi Hemken, and she has a lot of information for city residents. Welcome, Mayor. How are you today?
Hi, Dave. Just fine, thanks.
Thanks for being with us. We've got a lot to talk about. Let's begin by a visitor to a recent council meeting. Pass along some information from an important component of government here in the area, the county. Tell us about that.
Well, New Hope sits in District 1 in Hennepin County, and we have a new Hennepin County District Commissioner. His name is Jeff Lundy. He was the mayor of Brooklyn Park, and so he has come to talk to us. He did assure us that he wants to hear from residents, so his phone number is going to be on the screen and or maybe an email address. So please, if you have a question that's concerning Hennepin County and the district, feel free to email him.
Very good. And speaking of the county, let's talk a little bit about the assessor's office and why that is important at this time of the year for New Hope residents.
So if you're a homeowner, you should have got your home assessment report already. Take a look at that. If you think it's too high or too low, or you think there should be a change, you can do one of two things. You can call the county assessor, and that phone number will be on the screen, or you can come to the April 1st meeting at 7 o'clock at City Hall. It's called Appeals and Equalization, and the council will then take a look at it again. But usually you can solve your questions by calling the assessor.
And that always happens at this time of the year. One other item to touch on would be related to taxes. That happens at this time of the year. And Mayor, you have a few outlets for help if people are interested.
Well, I just kind of stumbled on this, and I thought it'd be nice to share. If you're low or moderate income and you're over 50, you can get some help with your taxes at AARP. And if you happen to not be any of those things and you still need help, you can go to the IRS.Treasury, and those two links should be on the bottom of the screen.
Very good.
So get some help if you need it.
Excellent. Other things happening locally. It's time of the year to take a look at Northwood Park and something that happens on an annual basis. What is going on with some of the eggs that might be soon found at the park?
Well, we need a federal and state permission to do this, and it's called addling. And what they do is to eliminate or to cut down on the number of geese that are in the parks. Our animal control guy gets these permits, and then he goes out and he addles eggs, which means he takes a bucket of vegetable oil and gloves, and when the geese lay the eggs, he dunks the eggs in the oil, which closes off all the little pores, and the eggs don't hatch. But the geese don't know that, so they'll sit on the egg, think hatch till it gets past the point where they never do hatch. So it's just a way of cutting down on the population of the geese. Do that, they just overrun the parks. So mostly this is done around Northwood Park, but he'll go out to the other parks and do it too, and he does it around the golf course. We still have a lot of geese. We still have a lot of geese babies, but at least this helps a little bit.
Let's move ahead to another topic that has a website that you see at the bottom of the screen that is now up and available that talks about deeds. Mayor, give us a little background here and tell us why people might want to look at doing something here.
Well, it's called Just Deeds, J-U-S-T, Just Deeds. And how this came about is back in the 1920s, realtors would put a covenant on a deed that said you weren't allowed to sell your property to a different nationality, a different race, a different religion. I mean, there were just some covenants with that. Well, of course, as we went along in years, they no longer obeyed those covenants. However, they're still there. Now, New Hope doesn't have any, but some of the neighboring cities, like Richfield, has just a ton of them. And so now what they're trying to do with this Just Deeds is they're trying to get those covenants off the deeds. So you're going to see that. You can look on your deed if you want, but I'm guessing you won't find it because we did look and we didn't find any in New Hope. But if you happen to come across one, or you have a friend or a relative, go to Just Deeds and they'll tell you how to get that off there at no cost to you, by the way.
Let's move ahead to a business update from the city. We've been following this property. What is the latest on the Pocket Square?
Well, Pocket Square is a distillery that's in the old Mountain Mud building. So what they're going to do is take gin and vodka and distill it with a flavor. And they've been trying to get this open for quite a while. Well, apparently they need the city, state, and they just need all kinds of inspections
Mhm.
and licenses. So they did the first of three for the state. They're going to two more. They think they'll be just fine. They're planning to open in April. So we'll see. This has been going on for a long time.
Another item to update you on is the U.S. Census and the census process. We promoted a lot as it was happening, and now we're getting some information about the results part of the census. What has the city been hearing?
Well, typically the census gets done, and by law, they were to report to the president the numbers of the census by the end of December. Well, of course, because of COVID, they had a hard time getting the census numbers, and just things didn't roll along as quick as they should have. So now it's the end of April that they have to get those numbers to the president. And then from there, they come back to the states so they can start the redistricting process. Usually that moving right along by now, but it hasn't been because they haven't had any numbers. So now
Mhm.
they're looking at the end of September to have that redistricting. So it's all kind of been pushed back a little bit, and there's going to be some folks really scrambling. Anybody that happens to be up for election this year is scrambling. Now, city elections aren't affected by the census at all. So
Right.
the city's a city. This is more the county, the senators, people that that are bigger areas that are up where they're redistricting. So
I'm
anyway, more to come.
Yes, more information to come on that. Let's move ahead to scattered site housing, give folks update on one property on Oregon Avenue. How are things moving along there?
Well, on 53rd and Oregon, there was a house there on a double lot. The house was valued at 1,000. We bought the house, tore it down, split the lots, and sold them to two developers. The final house now is up for sale for 385. That means the combination of the two houses there will be about $775,000 as opposed to the 150,000 that was there. So this is a real boost for our economic development guys.
Let's go back to another topic that's this time of the year is those storm drains are starting to appear, and you have a note for residents if they might notice that they're a little clogged, they can help out. Is that correct?
They can call Public Works, and that number should be on the screen. They can also go onto that tip 411 that
Mhm.
we talked about a couple weeks ago,
Right.
and say there's a clogged storm drain. We really want to get those storm drains cleaned, and because we want that water to go where it's supposed to be going. So if you're able to clean it yourself, fine. But if you're not, call Public Works and they'll come out and clean it.
Another item from Public Works is unfortunately with this warm weather means ice going away for outdoor skaters. Is that
Oh,
correct?
yeah, Dave, I was telling you earlier, this is good news and bad news.
Right.
The good news is the ice rinks were wonderful, but the bad news is they're going away because they're melting. So officially, they are closed.
Another item in Public Works you wanted to touch on is the sewer lining. What is sewer lining? Why is this something that might be going on in the city of New Hope?
Well, rather than dig the whole street down and put in a new sewer pipe, which is very costly, by the way,
Mhm.
they've come up with something that seems to be quite successful in other places. And what they do is they put a lining in, much the same as you'd think about stuffing a wiener, if you're making sausages. So they have this material and they just put it down the sewer pipe, and it lines the pipe. It gives it a few more years. So on Oregon, between 40th and 42nd, they'll be lining that sewer. So if you see this big truck doing something under the street, that's what they're doing. We've awarded that contract, and they should start doing that pretty quickly. It really does help with the sewer line breaks. Once it breaks, it's a little harder to line.
Good to know. Let's move over to Park and Recreation. A lot going on, and you're going to be happy to know that we are going to mention the word summer a lot of times in this part of the update. How about summer programs, summer activities? What is happening in the city?
Well, the Summer in Motion, that's the little magazine that tells you what's going on. That's at the printer, so that should be in your home by the 15th of March. However, you can sign up for summer programs if you know what they are. You can go
Mhm.
online and look. You can also get pool passes. We still are a little bit in the unknowing how many people we're going to be able to allow in the pool at one
Okay.
time and how they're going to control that. They wait for the governor to come back with some helpful information on that. But you can buy a pool pass now,
Very good.
and you can also sign up for those summer programs.
And as the pool opens up, you need employees. And so that process is still going on, recruitment efforts. Is that correct?
Yep, we're recruiting like crazy, and we're doing the interviews virtually. So if you happen to be in school at the moment and you want a summer job, you can actually apply online, and then you can get your interview done virtually online, and hopefully you'll get a job at the pool this summer.
One of the other annual favorites in Park and Rec is the bike rodeo, and there's the talk of virtual in front of the bike rodeo. What are some of the thoughts there?
That sounds like magic to me. And actually, Dave, I was talking to you about that earlier, that CCX had a lot of help doing that, where they filmed some stuff you told me, and then they showed it back to the kids, and they actually did a drawing at Robbinsdale City Hall. So the kids can go online, watch the rodeo and what they can and can't do with their bikes, and then apply for a free bike.
All right, more to come on that. And we see the beautiful golf course picture behind you, what it'll look like in a little bit of time here. But right now it looks a little different, and apparently some little mounds appearing on the golf course. Why do we have mounds on the golf course?
So the golf course has a lot of sprinkler heads.
Okay.
And apparently to protect those sprinkler heads, we don't want them to freeze, of course, they mound them with manure.
Okay.
Because when they have to take it off, they don't actually have to throw it away. They can just kind of spread it around as fertilizer for the golf course. So some rather ingenious person at City Hall had this bright idea, had a contest to see who knew how many manure piles there were at City Hall. So I have no idea how many there are, but I'll know on Tuesday of this week, and next week I'll report to you how many manure piles we had.
We can hardly wait.
I thought that was a pretty clever idea.
That is a neat idea. All right, so that's what's appearing. Also, news about a program related to youth and golf. How does this work?
It's called Youth on Course. And what that is, it's a federal program, and they're trying to get kids out to golf. So New Hope is part of this program. A child can come out, I think it's 6 to 18, can come out and play golf, round of golf for $5.
Mhm.
And then the federal program reimburses the city $3 for each golfer. But we really want to get those kids out there, and they can play a round of golf for $5.
Very fun. And let's talk ice arena for just a minute as that season starts to wind down a little bit. And good news as far as those wanting to go see games, that number is rising a little bit.
It is. The governor now said we could have 250 people in the arena. Of course, you have to be distanced, and of course, you have to wear a mask, but you can be there. That's kind of a big deal. We're really excited about that. So, of course, we're having games. There's open skating on Friday and Sunday, as always, but there's high school games that are being played. The adult males are playing. I don't know if females have a league, but they're playing. So you can now go to the ice arena and see a hockey game.
All right, sounds good. Cool off after all this hot weather, right?
Yeah.
Other note we wanted to pass along, you'll see them at the ice arena and also at the new pool. Some whiteboards have been appearing, but I understand this is some good work by the city to reposition some boards. How does this happen?
Well, you know, when we knew the old city hall was going away, we went in and took out everything we could that we could reuse. We removed a lot of the desks, we removed a lot of the cabinets. Some of the stuff kind of surprised me, like the whiteboards. So they took those down, they were in storage, and now 2 of them are going back up at the pool, and one's going at the ice arena. So we're actually trying to reuse the stuff that we had, so we didn't have to buy anything. Well, we bought a lot of stuff new, but we didn't buy anything that we didn't have to buy.
Very nice idea. Let's go to human resources and your update of what's new in New Hope. And we've been talking a little bit about the general inspector vacancy. Give us an update of how that is moving along.
So we're still taking applications from the outside on that. You have until noon on the 15th of March to get your application in. So if you want to work for the greatest place in town, come to New Hope and be a general inspector. I have no idea what the requirements are, but they should be online. You should be able to read that and see if you qualify for that. And if you do, apply for the job. That would be wonderful.
Final note to pass along. We mentioned earlier the In Motion guide out for people to sign up for activities. Another guide is coming out from the city, place for information. That's In Touch. When can we see that?
We should be able to see In Touch within the next week or so. I think that's what it was. You got to help me on that one, Dave.
March 15th, I think is correct. Correct.
March 15th. So that'll be able to give you some more information. Of course, the pipeline just came out in your water bill.
Mhm.
If you do not have a water bill, and some people don't live in a house, you can always get a copy of In the Pipeline at City Hall, or you could call and maybe they'll mail one to you. But there's really a lot of good information in there about what's going on in the city.
A lot of
There's a
ways.
lot. There's a lot going on in the city.
There is. Fantastic. And to keep up with it, you can watch us, or you can also go to the city's website. We've mentioned that a couple times, the place to go for information, newhopemn.gov. Mayor Hemken, thanks again for your time, and we can hardly wait to hear how many mounds are on the golf course next week. We will talk to you then.
Okay, thanks, Dave.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Kathi. Learn more about the connection at ccxmedia.org and follow us on social media.